Victor Sims, the Z historian. Now it's the early 60s and a Bemba woman from Chinsali is rumored to be forcing her followers to drink urine, smear themselves with excrement and jump off hilltops, plunging to their death. The suspect is none other than Alice Lenshina, a semi-literate self-professed prophetess and anti-witchcraft campaigner. In less than 2 years, Lenshina has created a cult-like movement of over 60,000 followers who are now forming their own utopia communities away from the rest of the so-called circular world. But that's not all. The mystic Lenshina is apolitical. Her teachings reject earthly authorities, paying taxes, and undermine the authority of local leaders and chiefs over their subjects. Now, of course, Lenshina's transgressions in Chinsali could have been forgiven. Besides, this was just one woman, right? Wrong. Chinsali was the Bemba-speaking heartland of the north, a place of great political significance and the birthplace of the country's foremost political leaders, including Simon Mwansaka-Pwepwe and the militant Kenneth Kaunda. With the very sovereignty of the nation at stake and political movements such as Kaunda's militant UNIP rallying the masses for political independence, the apparent acts of treachery by Alice Lenshina and the Lumpa Church could only mean one thing. As we established in previous episodes, popular African nationalism in the northern part of Zambia grew out of the Lumpa Church, which began with the death and resurrection of Alice Lenshina. For thousands of Zambians in the north, by the late 1950s, the Lumpa Church provided the means of fighting against the evils of colonialism and the racist Central African Federation. But soon, nationalist movements would join this fight, and the tactics would change from passive resistance to direct confrontation. Between 1960 and 1961, the nature of the struggle for independence had changed drastically. And during what was known as the anti-colonial Chachacha revolt, violence engulfed Chinsali district. Worse still, Chinsali was one of the 4 districts highlighted in UNIP's well-known anti-colonial publication, A Grim Peep into the North, which revealed violent colonial abuses of civilians and UNIP activists. Coincidentally, during the same period, conflict between UNIP and the Lumpa Church began. Now, some say when conflict between UNIP and the Lumpa Church began, it was initially over seemingly trivial things such as grazing and farming land. However, underneath what was considered trivial lay broader and bigger political problems with deadly implications. After UNIP's disappointing performance in the 1962 elections, local UNIP branches, and especially the youth wing, were determined to eradicate any and all forms of opposition. This included UNIP's main African rival, Harry Nkumbula's ANC, which showed signs of limited but growing support in the north, the Watchtower Church, whose members refused to join UNIP, the Church of Scotland, which complained that political activists discouraged their congregants from attending church service, and of course, the infamous Lumpa Church, who outrightly rejected politics. Now, according to reports from the District Commission of Chinsali, in the late 1950s and early 1960s, over 95% of all the residents of Chinsali district were Lumpa supporters. This included many of the early local leaders of the ANC, such as Robert Kaunda, Kenneth Kaunda's brother, and Sandy Rain. By 1956, the movement had also spread to areas in the Eastern Province, especially Lundazi district. Meanwhile, the number of UNIP branches in the north had more than doubled, from 276 in July 1961 to 573 in September 1962. And a shadowy group of radical UNIP youths who called themselves Unity Front Zambia was active in Chinsali and Kasama districts, punishing even those within the party who disagreed with more extreme tactics. Now, in the midst of all this confusion, Jameson Chapoloko, UNIP Regional Secretary in Impika and future Member of Parliament for Chinsali, emerged as local UNIP strongman and attempted to assert UNIP authority over district administration and villages. At the end of 1962, Chapoloko sent a letter to the DCs of Chinsali, Isoka, and Impika districts, which essentially demanded, number one, an end to unlawful mass arrests of UNIP leaders and its members, and secondly, that die-hard imperialistic-minded district commissioners take note of the political situation in the country and behave accordingly, and lastly, that the imperialistic tactics of dividing Africans into camps be put to an end forthwith. Known for encouraging secluded communities, Chapoloko's demands were seen in part as reference to the activities of Alice Lenshina and the Lumpa Church. Prior to 1963, to sort of maintain the peace, some Lumpa Church members had at least agreed to purchase UNIP party cards. However, with the Unity Front of Zambia and Jameson Chapoloko now on the scene, this was not enough. And soon, the uneasy truce between UNIP and the Lumpa would deteriorate as UNIP elements insisted that Lumpa members attend political meetings even on Sunday. Lumpa retaliation would be immediate, and colonial action to control and contain the skirmishes between the Lumpa and UNIP would be ruthless.